Hello, everyone. I hope you're well. I hope the weekend went well. Today we'll continue our philosophy peel segment. I would like to discuss something that we encountered after the last video. One viewer raised an interesting question about the purpose of ethics. So should ethics be the discipline that helps us to keep control and social order in our society? That's a good question. And that's exactly a meta-ethical question. So while ethics is focused on the rightness of our actions, and is that, as I was saying a few videos ago, is that discipline that allows us to think through the clothes or the outfit that we decide to wear when we enter in the society to be decent with each other. Metaethics is that discipline that help us to reflect on what ethics should do. So ethics, if you want, is the practical side of our reflections on ethics. And it's both sides are equally important because we need to understand what's the nature of our moral action, our moral decisions, and the direction of what we decide to do. Because clearly, according to the quality we give to ethics, according to the definition we want to give to ethics, the direction of ethical principles and laws would change. So, metaethics in general focuses on how ethics should handle the problem of what is right and wrong. And then from here, we see how the definition of right and wrong and how we should handle what is right and wrong can take various directions. So, for example, cognitivism believes that the nature of right and wrong and how we can handle our actions toward what is right and wrong is mostly based on what we know. So, once we know what is right and wrong, we are committed to act in the right way. For example, for Socrates, we generally act bad only out of ignorance. We do not, we choose to do the wrong thing because we don't know what the right thing is. Because doing the right thing brings always a benefit. So choosing to do the wrong thing means that we don't know how to steer our directions in something that brings us well-being. In that sense, we might categorize Socrates' idea within psychological cognitivism. So once we know what is right for us, for our psychological well-being, then we act accordingly. So ethics should help us to improve our cognitive abilities. There's semantic cognitivism instead that says that it's important to understand the language of what we say. So morality is mostly descriptive in a semantic and cognitive way. So once I'm capable of expressing in a sentence the right and wrong things, then I'm able to choose what is right and wrong. If the sense of rightness remains just sitting inside of me without any specific shape or words, then I will not be able to go in the right direction. And we saw a bit of this change in the last decades with, for example, enriching our language in sexual behavior and preferences. until we didn't have a certain vocabulary, it was harder to respect each other's sexual choice, for example, in being, I don't know, queer, cisgender, or yeah, or fluid, and so on. So cognitivism is one of the ways in which we can handle ethics, and we can handle our approach to ethics and thinking what ethics should be for. There is instead the naturalism, for example, that believes that moral properties in the world are what make true some ordinary moral beliefs. So the idea is that we are born with certain moral beliefs, moral directions, and ideas of what is true and good, and we just follow them. We just try to stick to where we already are as a society. So the same way you cannot explain why the color yellow is yellow, the same way you cannot explain why for a group of people behaving in a certain way is good. And somehow this is adjacent to another way of considering moral um, principles, which is intuitionism. So, according to intuitionism, moral properties exist, but they are based on our intuition. So, in one sense, is opposite to naturalism, and yeah, what I mentioned before, because it's not written in our bodies, in nature, in the society, in what is out there, but it's written in our sense of evidence that we feel when we have the intuition that something is right. um, at the same time, it confines with naturalism, because there's no way to describe an ethical view, because an ethical view is self-evident. So you might find many paths to say that this thing should be right, but in the end, and convince others about that, but in the end, you know that everyone will choose its own way, because it's written inside of them what is intuitively right or wrong. And this leads us to another, yet another way, but there are many ways here. I'm presenting just a few of them. Another way of handling ethics, which is emotivism. So, moral utterances for emotivism are mostly emotional properties, even emotional reactions to what a person like or dislike. And here I come back to a movie that I often cite when I talk about ethics, which is Avalanche. It's a beautiful movie, really a perfect ethical movie that portrays this family. Sorry if I spoil a little bit the plot, but everything happens in the first 10 minutes. This family is enjoying a beautiful breakfast, lunch on a terrace in front of this mountain. They are enjoying a ski vacation, and at some point an avalanche hits. There's this father with the wife and the two little children. What does the father do? The father reacts to the upcoming avalanche, first saying, "Ah, no, it's okay, it's okay." Then he realizes that it's not that good. The mother instinctively takes the two children and runs away. What he does, instead of protecting the family and so on, is just taking his phone, protecting the phone, and yeah, minding his own business. And it's a very interesting movie, because the rest of the movie is basically a reflection on the ethical status of him in the family. When it was important to react for the sake, for the good of the family, he chose to protect his phone while the wife um, tried to protect the family. So is the marriage still standing? Is this person truly loving the family and his wife? How would we react when the ethical action will call? So emotivism seems a little um, difficult to accept as an ethical school, an ethical position, because yeah, it leverages on our emotional reactions to certain situations. But it is true that most of ethics is based on what we do, what we feel like doing when the situation comes. And sometimes we don't even know ourselves what we are going to do. And what the deepest part of us, or if you want, the instinctive part of us, will say to us when something comes. So this is an overview of the possible positions that can be taken in ethics, and how we can reflect on the purpose of ethics on a metaethical uh, point of view. In general, it seems that all these positions are trying to help us to think through the quality of moral reasonings and ethical choices. So, what is this ethics that we talk about? What is the nature of the right and wrong that we try to apply in our lives? But then, of course, we take different directions according to the observation we have of the human nature. I hope you enjoyed this little pill. If you have questions, curiosities, things you want to share, it's always welcome. And see you next week. Bye, everybody.